This episode of The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, Extra Take, is sponsored by, well, of course, all of you amazing patrons. Thank you for your support, and without it, we wouldn't be able to do this. Now, on with the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode here of the Arena Extra Take. This is episode 5. I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-host of the Arena, multi-platform gaming news podcast, TurnBased Carl. Carl, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Bit tired. Been up since early in the morning, so.
Yeah, I know how you feel, man. It's like this last week for me, I had my second COVID shot. So, I was really down for the first 2 days after the shot. I had pretty high fever.
You feeling better now?
Yeah, feeling better now, man. Feeling good. Feeling good. So,
very good.
You know, it's Saturday morning here now in Japan, like you were saying. I'm in the future where it's, Friday night for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Exciting. Yeah. Future man.
Yeah, I'm the future man. So today we're going to be talking about 12 minutes. So, Carl, for our listeners, actually, this is going to be going up on Patreon for the first 2 days at patreon.com/thearena_podcast in early access. And then it will go to our YouTube channels at The Arena Citadel and Expat2020 Gaming, as well as on free podcast feeds. Carl, why don't you tell our audience, our listeners, about 12 Minutes? What kind of game is this?
Yeah, so 12 Minutes is essentially a point-and-click adventure. And it's very streamlined in the way it works versus some of the older ones that you might think about. And it all centers around, one time loop that's only 12 minutes long and takes place in basically just one location.
Right.
And what I mean by streamlined is that it's like when you click on something and use an object, like it does pretty much exactly what you think it's going to do.
Yeah.
It's not like the old games where it's like you're gonna mix some weird thing, or you're gonna click on something and it's like you would never have thought that was what was gonna happen. Like Discworld. Have you ever heard of that game?
Yeah.
Oh God, there were so many solutions in that where it's like, what?
Right.
I would never, ever have thought that was going to happen. I actually, when I was younger, it was one of those games where me and my friend called one of those like tip hotlines to get clues because it was predating FAQs on the internet.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah,
those were the days, man.
Yeah. So 12 minutes, it's got celebrity voice cast.
Yeah.
And visually, it's just like a top-down view,
right?
And I think the animations are nice. I like what I see. You have as a criticism people have is there's that clipping that happens sometimes. Characters walk through each other, or animations go through each other.
Right.
I feel like that was a choice. I almost think like that was something that they kind of had to do because the game runs in real time, right?
Yeah.
It has to stick to this structure of 12 minutes and things specifically happen. And if you like stop the character from doing something because he ran into another thing, then you could potentially frustrate the player more in that they won't be able to do what they want to do in the time that they have.
Right.
So.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, when I was playing it, I had some problems with the controls. Particularly, you know, like you were saying, you're playing in real time, and you only have like maybe like 5 or 6 minutes before the cop, so to speak, William Dafoe's character, comes in
Mhm.
and bashes down the door. So, of course, for all of you listeners, all of you viewers, this is a spoiler discussion episode now. So, if you have not played 12 minutes yet, you might want to tune out or cut off
Mhm.
what you're listening to and go play it. So anyway, with that said, you know, the controls, like for example, when you go into the bathroom and you have to get the clock,
Yeah.
you know, having to, for example, get a knife, for example, from the top menu, and then pull it down and then try to open up the, you know, the cage there. You know, that was a
was a
little bit
struggle.
difficult. Yeah. In the
Yeah, I
beginning.
mean, you get used to it. It's really
Yeah.
it's just a matter of like dragging it and then highlighting it and saying the word of like you know, great here, and then
Right.
you know, it interacts.
Right.
There's not a lot that you can do. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do things, but ultimately, yeah, there's not so many things. It doesn't crowd the game with like lots of useless objects, even though there are several things in the game that are just not used at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I didn't realize till the way end of the game that you can use your keys to open the grate.
Oh, yeah.
Like the keys that you start with, or a spoon. A spoon works too.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, at first I actually started because it was so dark when you open that thing up to get the clock.
Yeah.
I started using the candle that was on the table, you know.
Does that do anything?
Well, it lights up the inside so you can see things and get them out quicker. Like the clock, you can select it quicker. Whereas if you don't use it, then you have to move your cursor around on the controller.
It's always in the same spot. So like, you know, once you've done it once, you know exactly where it is. But wait, so you can put the candle in that grate and light that grate?
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, I have put the candles in the other grates just because I was messing around just to have see, and it lights that up. So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Like, it's weird that it's dark and you can't see there, but ultimately, like once that is revealed to you, you know where you're looking.
Right.
And you're going to find it. And the game is cleverly hiding it in plain sight. Like, it's dark because if you're looking at a medicine cabinet, you're not looking at the grate on the floor underneath.
Right.
And the same sort of applies to the fridge, right? If you want to get the photo, you have to like open the fridge, and then the photo is above and you can see it. And it's sort of like, again, it's trying to hide that in plain sight. You don't know that the photo is important in any way until information is revealed later. Right.
And that's what I was having difficulty with in the beginning of the game, because I actually live streamed this, you know, on Twitch. And the first half hour, I was just like wondering, what the hell am I doing? You know?
Okay. What was the first thing that you thought to do in the game?
Well, she comes up to you. It's like you can't move away from her. She comes up and like grabs you, and then she tells you that she made, you know, your favorite cake or whatever it was, I think it was. And so my first reaction was to pull the cake out of the refrigerator.
Okay.
You know? Well, and then put it on the table, then hopefully sit down and talk to her. You know?
Okay. Yeah. Like, okay. So like my first, maybe I'm like sort of sadistic when I play these games, but like my first thing that like, when I was trying to problem solve, like, what am I supposed to do in this game? It's like once I went in the bathroom in a medicine cabinet and they had the sleeping pills, I was like, okay, how do I drug my wife? I'm like, I know you can do it. It's going to be a thing. It has to be, right? Like, why this has got to be a thing. Yeah. So if you try to do it in front of her, she makes a comment and she's like, are you having trouble sleeping? And you try to give it to her, she gets mad. And there's a couple of things that'll make her mad, and she storms out, and then that sets off the cop coming.
Yeah. And then, like, when I went into the closet to get the cell phone, I figured out, once I figured out how to get the cell phone and then try to make a phone call, it's like you don't have many options until you play more of the scenarios. Once you go through more of the loops, then you get more information and more things open up in the game. but it's like in the beginning, it's like all you could call was the emergency number. So I call that emergency number, and it's like, well, they'll be here in like 15 minutes. I don't have 15 minutes, So.
Okay. What in Japan, what's the emergency number?
119.
Now, when you played it, you're playing the American version, right?
Yeah.
So it's 911. Right?
Yeah.
I wonder if you're playing a different version, because like I just by instinct I was like, I'm just going to dial 911 and see what happens, because that would make sense.
Yeah.
So this is the brilliance of this game. I mean, I think the game is not like great, but I really like it. The brilliance of the game is that like the game is about knowledge, and what you know is what the character knows. Right. In order to progress the game, you have to get knowledge.
Right.
So the character only knows the same things you know. So in order to do certain things later in the game, you have to have had the character learn that.
Right.
Which is brilliant. I really like that. I think it's very clever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I also really like so once you like start the loop over a couple of times, like he'll make comments, right? And those comments are often clues as to like what you did wrong or what you can do again or differently. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes it's just like fun or whatever.
Yeah.
But I really like how one of my favorite things is that, okay, did you try to stab yourself with a knife?
No, but
you never. How did you?
I never stabbed myself, but I tried to, of course, stab the cop. And when it came to desperate measures, when I was getting a little frustrated playing the game, before I figured out how to finish it, I actually stabbed the wife and cut her up a couple of times.
Yeah. Okay. So it pertains to that too. So if you try to stab yourself with the knife, the first time you do it, he won't do it. He'll hold the knife out like he's going to stab himself. And he's like, and he just can't get it done. So the animation stops, and then you have to click it again to do it. But then in subsequent loops, he's quicker at it. And then like after a couple times, he'll take the knife and just go slit his throat like real quick, like it's nothing.
Jeez.
Like, I really appreciate that. Like it makes sense, sort of like if you've done this several times already, you're like, it doesn't mean anything. You know what's going to happen. Yeah. And the same applies to the wife. You can get an animation where he walks up to the wife and just slits her throat. Like
that's what I did a couple of times.
Yeah. So I think that's really clever too, having your character sort of change the way he acts based on the amount of loops he's been in.
Yeah, one cool thing about the game too is to start the loop over quickly. You figure out basically if you walk out of the apartment, it just starts it right back up again. So if you messed up and you want to start all over again, it's
a good way. Or just stab yourself, if you want to watch that animation.
Yeah.
It takes a little longer though than walking out the door.
Right. The cool thing about this game too is multiple endings.
Yes.
So there are different ways this game can finish, and the credits can roll in a certain, I think there's 2 or 3 different scenarios where you can roll the credits.
3, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play through it to get all of them?
No, I only did one of them, actually.
Just one of them. Yeah. Okay.
Just one of them.
Yeah, I think for me, like the first time I got to the end, I was like, all right, I'm not so sure. Like, I don't really understand exactly what happened. It's a bit confusing. Yeah. So I think to really enjoy this game more, I think it is important to play it over and get all the endings just to really think more about what's happening. Because I think it's not clear exactly what is really going on in this game.
Right.
Did you struggle with any of to get to the end? Was there any puzzle that one bit or any part that you had to get help with?
Well,
because I did. There's one thing.
Just going through a lot of those dialogues and trying to figure out, trying to remember what it was. Well, you're trying to get her to admit that she killed her father, that, and then trying to get more information out of her. I think that was the difficult part for me until I played more of the loops. And once I got through more of the loops, then I was able to get more information. And then when it came to that book that she was reading, to quote some of the material that was in that book that she was reading. You know, I was a little frustrated there because
that's relevant to one of the endings.
Right. Relevant to one of the endings. And it's like, I was frustrated because I knew there was probably something else in there, but I couldn't get it out of her. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, oh my God, drawing a blank. Lost my train of thought there. Okay. So the thing that I missed that I had to go up online and look because I couldn't get the nanny's name.
Oh.
It's like, I think this is the pivotal thing that sort of like finishes the game. Right. Mm-hmm. You go through the loop and you think you've solved it, right? And the cop is going to leave, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like I'll try to look into it," And they're like, "Maybe I don't remember the nanny's name." She's like something with flowers, and I'm like, "What?" And like, there's a flower in the game, right? Oh, there's a potted plant, and you can water it,
right? Mm-hmm.
And over loops, it will grow, and a flower will grow, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, is this trying to tell me something? Like, I'm confused here.
Yeah.
And then there's the baby's clothes, right? With
right.
There's a flower on it, right?
Yeah.
But I tell you, I was really stumped only because maybe it's just not that common, or for whatever reason, I don't know much about flowers. I did not know a dahlia was the name of a flower.
No. Yeah.
maybe everyone else does. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just didn't put that together. And like, you have to, there's enough clues. So like, I could have figured it out, right? Like I said, the flower on the actual clothes, and the flower growing there. So there's enough things there, but I just didn't figure that out. So you have to give the cop, and do you have to give him the baby clothes like when she goes to get the clock for him?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It seems like I think that's the only time you can do it, right? Is that's what you did?
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I have to be honest. My ending was the coward ending. Which is when you put the pills into her drink, she drinks it, and then she goes into the bedroom and she falls asleep. And then you have the clock with you, and then the cop comes in, but you're hiding in the closet. And then he goes to turn on the light switch, but of course, the light switch has a short, and then he passes out, you tie him up, and then after he wakes up, you explain that you're innocent. And then you untie him, and then he tells you to go out and sit in the room on the sofa.
And you have to call the police.
Yeah. And
he shoots the wife.
He shoots the wife, and then he comes out, and then you have to use the phone and say, I murdered, she shot herself.
Okay. I gotta tell you, that's not a real ending for the game.
Yeah.
That's not one of the real endings.
Right. Yeah.
So you're telling me you didn't get any of the actual real endings?
No, not any of the actual real endings. No.
Oh,
but, I mean, the ending where he leaves, and that breaks the loop, but it's not an actual ending. Yeah.
So. But that doesn't break the loop. That he continues after that.
Well, yeah, technically, yeah.
Oh, so that's one of those what I call like logical conclusions, like. There are certain things that you can do where it's sort of like I'm fulfilling what seems like a possible end, which is that one, for example, you just give up the wife as if she's, she's guilty of this murder.
Yeah.
But so do you not know what I'm talking about with Dahlia and the
well, I've seen it.
And the nanny?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So in order to get to the real ending, you have to give him the baby thing. And this is where you find out, this is the big spoiler of the game, is that your character is the half-brother of the wife. And to a lot of people are like not okay with this idea.
Yeah.
But and what's really cool is after you reveal that, when you play the game, whenever you hover over her, it says wife, right?
Yeah.
After you've done that, it doesn't say wife anymore. It says her.
Yeah.
So this is really interesting, like telling. There's a lot of psychological stuff going on with this game.
Yeah.
So then you didn't actually play the thing where after you get to that point, You're in the room with the father?
No, I didn't play that part.
Oh my God.
I was at the point where you look at the clock, but I hadn't completed some of the other parts that you needed to complete before you could actually see that loop, a part of the loop. Yeah. Where you stare at the clock and then it goes to the scene with the father. Yeah. So,
right. Because that only happens after you've found out the truth, which is that you're related to the wife.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I never got that far.
Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate, because this is like what really makes the game interesting, because once you do that, then you go into a loop where you talk to the father and you have a conversation, and then you end up getting into a tussle and you shoot him and kill him.
Okay.
And this is where in the game, the cop says, like, no, she didn't die on, sorry, the father didn't die on Christmas. He died on New Year's Eve, and he was shot twice, not once. And so supposedly you think it's you now who killed the father.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of that is actually true at all. Because as the ending goes on later, right? So there's another ending after that. You go back into that room with the father, and you can choose to not ever have a relationship with the wife. Because it seems like that point in the time is before, like, he's already met the wife and he's he's in love with her, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't know they're related.
Yeah.
So then the father is, for some reason, I don't know why he's confronted him, how this happened. However, they met. He's telling him the truth, and he's sort of trying to figure out how he can live his life, because he loves this woman, right?
Right.
So you can choose at that point to not actually, to just ghost her basically and never talk to her again. And the game restarts and you're going to the apartment and it's completely empty and there's nothing in it.
Wow. That's interesting.
But the only thing that you can do in this situation now is you can go to the grate where the watch is, and it's there still, and you can take it, you can look at it again, and you can go back into the loop. So it's weird because there isn't a single actual ending that rolls credits that doesn't let you get back into the loop, even though I thought there was one. So after that ending, you can do another one where you can, I think it's after that one, there's a continuation one where you can convince the father that to like kind of erase your memory, like he's a hypnotist or something, and that you forget everything, and the game starts back over from the total beginning, and it's over. It's like you don't know anything, and you have to start from square one. And that sort of seems like he's just doomed to repeat his mistakes, even if he forgets everything he knew.
Yeah.
And then there's another one where it almost seems like you just instead of him erasing your memory, you like stare off into the clock that's in that room.
Right.
Which the clock face looks exactly like the watch, right? That's the connection. That's why it's sort of like the loop back into that room.
Yeah.
And in that version, you can actually get to a point where that ending goes to the main title screen, and there's no continue option. You can't continue anymore. It's over.
Yeah.
So I thought, but apparently you can use the cursor and you can grab the handle of the clock. And if you put it back to like 2 minutes before 12, it'll put you back into the loop. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I'm like, there is no actual way out of this loop at all in any way.
Yeah. Yeah, so for a lot of people that play this game, I mean, me included, of course, I guess didn't get the true ending, so to speak. You know, I mean, this game has a lot of replay value to it. You know, I'm just afraid that a lot of people are gonna pass this game by because there's so much out there. But there's a lot of replay value to it.
Yeah, it's worth it. I honestly think 6, 7, maybe 8 hours max for you to do everything. Because once you know the solution, you can run through the whole game within I want to say maybe an hour or so if you have to. Yeah, it's not hard. It's not long at all. You just have to know the key pieces of information that can get you to the ending.
Yeah, when I streamed it for about 3.5 hours. Trying to get a lot of the information, and then after offline, I played for about an hour to get that one conclusion. So, yeah. But
yeah, I found it compelling. Like I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to go back. I wanted to I didn't want to stop playing. It's like, I think it's a good sign. Like they're onto something.
Yeah.
I think maybe they could expand the scope, or maybe just their style, I think, works and doesn't have to be the same short loop. Whatever they want to do with the next game, I'm up for more of it, for sure.
Right. Yeah, Annapurna Interactive. Yeah, they've been putting out some good stuff lately. Of course, they came out with The Last Stop as well, which is on Game Pass. So
yeah, I didn't play that. No, there's a publisher on that. So and same as this.
Yeah,
it's like I care more about like the developer, the guy who, the guy behind this game.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. And of course, like you said, Carl, the voice acting, so all-star cast, Daisy Ridley, James McAvoy, and of course, William Dafoe. So
yeah, and I said this when we talked about it before, but I do not recognize Daisy Ridley and James McAvoy at all in this game.
Yeah.
Not to say that like they don't read their lines well, but I'm like, they're sort of wasted on it. Willem Dafoe, I can never forget like his line when the daughter calls him and he's walking in, he's like, but honey. He just like, you've heard it so many times. Well, because I played the loop so many times.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the podcast too. It's like I had just a minor pet peeve with Daisy Ridley's accent, because of course she's British, and I was expecting to hear Daisy Ridley's normal accent, but she used an American accent. I guess it's because it was an American production. They asked her maybe to use an American accent, but that was just a minor pet peeve. But
this James McAvoy too, right? He's not American, I don't think.
Yeah, so
he's also, that's probably also why both of them do not sound like themselves.
Yeah. So probably a lot of people probably wouldn't recognize them. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's worth your time. I think you should check it out. If you play this and you get stuck, just go look up hints.
Yeah,
it's not going to hurt your experience. It's totally worth trying to get through. Because like what I did, I had to look up that one thing because I just didn't put it together for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And the game does this thing, which apparently is a thing with like movies and directors, where they try to hide the clues to the end in the beginning of the game, or in a sense of movie, in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Right when you walk in to the hallway out of the elevator, the first time you play it, if you go to the right or left, there's pictures on the wall.
Yeah.
The one on the right is a picture of the dahlia flower. So I'm like, there you go. That's the clue you need to finish the game. And on the left is a bookshelf with a single red book that is visible. Yeah. Well, it's a full bookshelf, but one red book is noticeable.
Yeah.
And that's how you get the extra secret ending. So you have to click on the red book in that room with the father, because it's the book that the daughter read, and also the father and daughter both read that book. So when you quote it to him, that's how you get into the other ending. So yeah, it's great. There's great stuff that like the ending that you got, which isn't really an ending. Those are
thanks, Carl.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry, but it's
yeah.
I looked it up, so like I was going through it. I wanted to do all of those because some of those are really cool. One of them is just like having a perfect day with your wife.
Yeah.
Which, in order to get that, there's a phone option to call the cop's daughter that makes him not even come. Yeah. He'll come, you hear him talk, and then he leaves to go back to his daughter. He never comes in.
Right. And there's a really quick ending too, I think, where you just sit on the sofa with her and talk. I think.
So in order to get that one, when you first start the game, when you first walk into the apartment, just don't touch anything.
Yeah.
And the game will just go through completely. You'll have a conversation. They're just open and honest, and she just tells you the truth. And it's like, oh wow,
and what percentage of people that play this game are actually going to get that ending?
Nobody's going to do that like without. I mean, I guess maybe someone figured it out, but like, I think it's brilliant that that's there, and it makes sense too, because once you played it over, you realize that there is a difference to that first loop. Because when he comes home in the first one, he says like something like, "Oh, honey, I love you," or something. Whereas every other loop, since he's looping, he doesn't say that. So it doesn't start off the same. It's clever, very clever. There's a lot of clever little things in the game, and I still feel like there's maybe secrets that no one has discovered, because there's a bunch of useless things in the game. You know, like the knife really has no purpose, even though you can kill yourself or the wife or try to stab none of it matters. It never actually really matters to the game.
Yeah, and you can't kill the cop with it. You can't.
You can never kill the cop with it. No.
Yeah.
You can kill the cop, but that's not how you do it.
Yeah.
You can flush things down the toilet.
Yeah.
I don't know why. There's never any purpose to it. So like, again, I just wonder if there are extra things that haven't been discovered in this game.
Yeah, I tried that a bunch of times. I tried flushing evidence down the toilet, but that didn't work. Yeah. So.
Right. I'm thinking like, oh, you flushed the clock down, the watch. Maybe that would screw things up, because that's the thing that ties you to the loop.
Yeah.
But no, it doesn't do anything like that.
No.
Did you kill the wife by her getting electrocuted?
No, never tried that. Yeah.
Okay, so you know how you can electrocute the cop, right?
Yeah.
To knock him out?
Yeah.
You have to do that to get certain information.
Right.
And you can electrocute yourself, and you're knocked out for like 2 minutes.
Right.
And this is the clue that lets you know that this will happen, is when he does that, he says like, oh man, it's a good thing I had shoes on. Otherwise it would have been worse.
Yeah.
She doesn't have shoes on. So when she gets it, she gets I guess electricity grounds out through her completely or something. Wow, yeah. And she just dies. If you can get her to actually flip the switch the second time, she's completely dead.
Wow.
But again, there's no purpose to that. There's never any reason to actually there's no clues you're going to get out of it, other than if that could be the first time you figured out that the light switch does that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff in this game, man. So we hope all of you out there can check it out. 12 minutes. Yeah, it's up on Game Pass. So if you're an Xbox user and you're a subscriber to Game Pass, you can download this game and play it right now. So Carl and I hope that you give it a try. And Carl, I want to thank you so much for coming on Extra Take today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
good. I've been wanting to talk about this game in some way with someone.
Yeah.
Well, I talk with my wife about it, but she doesn't know. She doesn't play it. She saw me play a little, but she doesn't play games like that.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. So this episode of Extra Take will go up to Patreon at patreon.com/thearena_podcast. It'll be up for 2 days in early access, and then it will go up to the Arena Citadel and Expat 2020 Gaming YouTube channels. And it will go to the free podcast feeds in audio format as well. So I want to thank you all for joining us. For my co-host of the Arena Multi-Platform Gaming News Podcast, TurnBased Carl, I'm your host, Expat, and we hope to catch you in the next episode of Extra Take. So take care, everyone. Peace out.
So when is a dessert not just a dessert? I have something to share. So?
Okay, look, I clearly haven't opened it yet, and I know there are baby clothes inside.
I just bought them today. How could you know?
Look, I know this sounds weird, but the day's repeating itself.
What are you talking about?
I've done it before. Just listen to me. I haven't figured out how it all works yet, but for example, if I get beat up, I go back to the start of the evening.
What?
In the next few minutes, a cop is gonna knock on our door.
It's some kind of sick joke.
He's gonna hurt us. You gotta go.
And leave you alone?
Police! You're under arrest for your father's murder 8 years ago.
My father? Please, you must be thinking of someone else.
No playing dumb.
I know the truth.
I'm not lying.
I just said no more games.
I forgave everything, all of it.
Things like this just don't get forgiven.